And you went to all his ball games, probably.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't get married until he was in the Navy, I guess. Was it just before that?
When I was a senior in high school,
Okay.
James and I got married. And then...
and you graduated in 1944.
And he had to go on to the service then.
Because the war had started just, maybe 3 years prior to when you got married. And then he
had to go on.
He went into the Navy.
Yeah.
And he was gone how long?
Oh, be over 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, I guess.
That was a long period of time.
It was a long time.
Did you write to him a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Did he ever write to you?
Oh, yeah.
I had a problem with that when I was in the Navy.
He done pretty good. Anyway.
I think Betty wrote me every day, and I might write her every other week.
Well, James done pretty good. So. Anyway.
Well, then you got back together again after the war was over. He came home, and
I was so glad he come home because see, Jimmy was born, my son, while he was gone, and so I just lived here with Mother.
And prayed every day for his safety.
Every day.
And you knew some guys that probably didn't come home.
Oh yeah, there was. But like I told you, Joe Huff and James spent the whole time together. They went from 1st grade to 12th grade together, and then they
met
in the
overseas
service together all the time, and that really helped for them to be together.
To have a buddy that knew how to talk about the home folks, that means a lot.
Yeah, it was good that they could be together.
Then your dad had died. You and your brother had been helping your mom do the farming here. James came back from the service, and you guys decided that you wanted to continue farming. Your brother decided he didn't want to. So then you stayed here, and your mother lived with you.
Oh yeah. No, we lived in that little house.
Okay.
And Mother lived here. And then in about 1954, while we bought the place, and Mother moved to Springfield. And
what were your earliest memories of you and James farming here? Can you remember how a day went back then? It was pretty quiet, probably, wasn't it?
We just worked hard. And time when we got our cows and put them in with Mother's cows, why, we all milk cows.
How many cows do you think you milked at one time around here?
We probably milked about 40 or 45, but when the children left home, well, we cut it down a little for just him and I.
What breed of cattle did you usually
Holsteins.
have? Always had Holsteins. Who was your milkman?
Johnson, Harold Johnson's.
Okay. All the time?
Most of the time, as I remember.
They were always pretty stout fellas. They could handle those big cans, and then he got a bulk truck, I guess.
Yeah, we finally put the bulk in and had the tank.
Was that in the 50s, late 50s maybe?
Probably so.
And then sometime along in there, James started driving the school bus. When was that?
That was sometime in the 50s. When down here at Hickory Barren, he had an old school bus that he run for a couple of years. And oh, those kids loved it down here. And then when he got to Fairgrove, there come an opportunity. Millis Goodwin decided to sell his bus, and James bought it from him. That was the first time we got into the bus route.
And where was his bus route?
It's up around.
Was it always the same bus route, or did he change around a little bit?
He got changed around some. He did at one time have one that come through here and went up through by Peace Chapel and all that. But then later we had that route that goes around to Elkland like we have now.
Well, that's a pretty long sweep over that direction.
It was a long route.
Well, he ran it twice a day. What time did you guys get up? He got up and then milked and then went on the bus route?
I stayed and done the milking while he went on the bus route.
You knew how to do it, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Did the kids start helping you when they got old enough?
The kids start helping. They all know how to milk. They evidently didn't want to come back to the farm and milk because you see they've all gone over.
How old were they when you started taking them to the milk barn? Each one of them. Pretty young.
Yeah, I have carried one on my hip in the milk.
How do you handle that with a kid on your hip?
You just do what you have to. So. It was good. And
it's a good way of life.
And the kids all learned how to work and how, so. Yeah.
Well, tell us all about your kids. Go ahead and name them in the correct order. When they were born. Can you remember the year they were born?
Yeah, I set it down somewhere. Maybe I better get it and read it.
Okay, well, just get kind of close. I have trouble with it.
Jim was born in 44 when James was gone. And he was in San Diego when Jim was born, but he couldn't come home. And after Jim was born, they shipped out to the Pacific. And they were in those islands over there. And they were, Iwo Jima, the first landing of troops over there. So many of them got killed, and they disabled our ships and everything. It was bad. But James and Joe was on the ship that went on the second invasion or something, and they didn't have anybody killed on theirs. And then he said they took part of the wounded back to the Philippines, but they were over there in the Pacific that time. So.
And your prayers helped get them through.
I know.
How glad were you when he showed up here one day? Did he call you before he came, or?
You read what he said on that little thing you wrote. Said he kissed his wife and got his overalls on, and he wore them ever since. Which is the truth.
Good memories.
Yeah. So Jim was born in 44. And he's kind of retired now, but he was a salesman for solar roofing and siding and all that kind of stuff for years. And Sue was born in 46. And well, Jim, I should tell you, Jim has 3 children, and he has 3 grandchildren, and they're all good kids. I love them. Sue married Gene Henderson, and they have 4 kids. Sue is a nurse at South Cox, RN, and she works a night shift. She has Russ and Angie and Aaron and John, and I don't know, she's got 4 or 5 grandkids.
Hard to keep track of all of them.
I need to write it.
And you just got a pretty new one recently, didn't you?
Well,
I guess that's great-grandchild.
Yeah, oh yeah. Ann lives up here, and she's married to Don McCann, and they had Marley and Brian, and she has 5 grandkids. I don't know. Anyway, then what did I get Ann? Linda, y'all know Linda, and of course she's married to Ronnie. And, he was a wonderful guy, and she's married to Phil now, and he's a wonderful guy. So, and Linda had the 2 children, Sean and Heather, and then, her grandkids out there at school. Then Vicki, she lives right down here. She married Paul Campanella, and they have 3 kids. Matt will graduate this year, and so will Katie. Matt's Vicky's and Katie's Marley's. So we've got 2 graduating.
And several of your kids went to Hickory Barron, or did every one of them?
That was my kids.
That's what I'm talking about, your children.
Ann and Sue and Jim.
Okay.
You've got that picture. And before they consolidated, and I think they consolidated Hickory Barron in about 54.
Okay.
So.
Then all of your kids graduated from Fairgrove High School?
All of our kids. James and I graduated from there, and all my sisters and brother and his sisters, and then James and I, and then all of our kids graduated from Fairgrove.